Welcome back to Rise and Shine. If you're unlucky with love, like me, I had to do that. Well, our next guest might just help you turn things around. Author Joshua Fredenburg is here, and he says a loving relationship is well within your reach. Where is it? I can't find it. Welcome,
I told you this isn't our strong suit for Shahan and I.
Okay.
So what made you write your book, 50 Questions Before You Say I Do?
Well, essentially, like most people, 8 years ago, I got married and thought I was going to be with my ex for the rest of my entire life. But little did I know, about 3 years and 10 months later, we ended up getting a divorce.
Oh, wow.
And I was devastated, I was frustrated, I was irritated, and extremely bothered. But during that time, I took some time and began to reflect upon myself. And instead of pointing the finger about what she did wrong, I really began to ask myself the question, what could I have done better so that I don't make the mistake again?
An introspective man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I didn't think such a thing existed.
You got to. You have to introspect. That's how you grow.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and so one of the things I began to realize, that we weren't prepared, and I didn't ask the right questions. I didn't do the vetting process as poignantly as I should have.
Right.
And so during that process, I realized there were a lot of mistakes that I made, and then I realized that a lot of other people get divorced and have
Absolutely. It's like 50% of Americans, right?
Right, because they don't ask the right questions.
Right.
And again, when you add on that number, you have about 30% of people that are probably in relationships but aren't happy and are frustrated and upset and are staying in for a variety of different reasons.
Well, I say they're lucky they're in a relationship.
But it's true. People end up staying in bad situations for a long time without, being introspective and asking themselves the right questions.
Right, exactly. So I want to help people avoid that situation. And so I wrote 50 questions before you say I do, because I want to give people an opportunity to ask the right questions. So before you walk down the aisle and say I do, you want to sit back and ask yourself these questions and make sure it's the right person. I tell people all the time, I would rather be single than settle for less and be in a bad relationship.
That's true. That's a great motto. Let's dive
we don't
into
have
that,
time for 50 questions.
Right.
Well, let's look at 5 questions you need to actually look at before taking the plunge. And the first one is, do you know what you want in a partner, and are you ready to commit? Right? Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's introspection. And basically what it deals with is basically ask yourself the first question, number one, what do you want? Write a list out of exactly what you want. And then the next question is, what do you need? A lot of times we're always, I want this, but what do you need? What's actually going to fulfill you? What's going to make you happy? And then the question I like to always say, once you have your list and you have your picture and you have your dream, whatever the case may be, the question now is, do you match that?
Right.
You have a lot of people that want this great relationship partner, but they don't match it. I want someone that's healthy, but I'm not healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
I want someone that's attractive, but am I really doing what I can to keep myself up?
Right.
I want someone that has a lot of money, but am I good with my finances? And so we got to introspect ourselves and first create the dream, but then we got to create the character that matches the dream.
Right.
And a lot of people aren't willing to do the work to match the dream. And so I encourage people, once you have your vision, then start working on yourself and saying, what do I need to do to prepare myself to meet that future relationship partner?
That's so important,
I think I work on myself, but that doesn't help me at all. So I'm not sure.
Just be patient, Shahan.
Well, do you have the vision? Do you know what you want? Do you have an idea of what you want?
Oh, I have a vision.
Oh, you got a vision? Okay.
I have a vision. I have a very good vision of what I want. But, I don't know. I guess sometimes can relationships really end up, is it luck when you meet the right person? Is that a case?
I don't want to say luck. I just think that when it's time, it's time.
Yeah.
And I think if you just go through life, it will find you. I really believe that.
And it's important to be prepared for when that moment comes.
Exactly.
And so your second question that you encourage people to ask themselves is, do you and your partner share the same values? Why is that an important one?
Values are important. Well, number one, you can predict a person's behavior based on their thoughts, their beliefs, and their perspectives. And so basically, if you want to know whether or not you're going to have a healthy relationship, you're going to have a quality relationship, and you're going to have someone that's going to be on the same page, you want to know what their value system is.
Right.
You want to know when you deal with raising your kids, are they going to be in the same line as you? You want to know that when it comes to integrity and you're not there, can you trust that they're going to do the right thing? And these are things you want to look at, because if someone doesn't value integrity and they don't value honesty, then can I really trust you when I'm not looking? What are you doing when I'm not there?
What's a good example then?
Well, I guess one of the examples that I like to always use, and it goes a little different direction, is when we deal with, you have in the 21st century, I call it the 21st century woman. She's she's a wife, but she's also a businesswoman, and I'm all about that. I got a daughter. I'm all about that.
Right.
But then you have the traditional wife, and you have some men that come from a traditional household, and they want a woman to stay at home and take care of the kids, and there's nothing wrong with it. That's a job in itself.
Right.
But if you get two people that have different opinions in that regards, you can have a lot of arguments. You can have a lot of frustration that's going on in the household. And these are important questions you got to ask yourself.
Yeah.
Because, if you have a woman that went to college, got a master's degree, got a PhD, you're doing your thing, doing your thing, to say, I got to stay home, but I've done all this work, that's going to make her kind of upset and discouraged. So obviously that's not a good match based on the value system.
Yeah. All right. So trust, 110%. You need to trust your partner.
You got to trust your partner. Yes, you have to trust your partner.
That's a big one, yeah.
It's very important. Well, number one, trust is the foundation of any quality or healthy relationship. But more importantly, when you don't have trust, you open yourself up to more challenges. A person that doesn't have trust, number one, is going to have fear. Number two, most people that don't trust someone are going to try to be controlling. And the worst thing in the world is to be with someone that's always trying to control you. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? What are you doing?
That's annoying, actually.
Very annoying.
See, you could be in an annoying relationship.
Number three, I think, trust is important because when there's a lack of trust there, when major decisions come, can they trust you to get the job done? Can they trust you to make the decision? And then I think the most important thing is when we're honest and we're transparent and we're trustworthy, we open ourselves up to what love is really about. See, I believe that the higher your trust is, the higher your love will be. And again, from a practical standpoint, I won't just say this, trust is not built overnight. You'd be crazy to trust someone overnight. So I always like to say you're building trust. And in order to build trust, you're evaluating. Number one, do they call you back when they're still going to call you back? Do they do what they say they're going to do?
Well, and I mean, you're kind of touching on this right now, but a lot of these questions that you're asking, like, trusting your partner 110% and making sure that you have the same values, I mean, that can take a long time to really know. I mean, how long do you think it takes to get to know someone and know that, they're checking all these boxes?
That's the right person.
Well, I like to say watch behavior. Follow behavior over time. Most people are gonna replicate their behavior. So you just sit back and watch, and you don't even say anything about it.
Actions speak louder than
watch
words,
the act. Exactly. Just watch. And trust is different for different types of people.
Yeah.
It's more. I like to say it's more of an intuitive, gut feeling type of thing.
That's a good point too. And so question number 4 relates to a lot of your other points as well. Does your partner have character?
Do they have character? Now, when we deal with character, I always like to give a quick definition. Character to me is not only morals and values, but it's an ability to meet the tasks or demands of the people that you represent as a leader or any particular situation.
Right.
Yeah.
And so my question becomes, do they have the ability and the capacity to be the kind of relationship partner that you're looking for?
Yeah.
Are they kind? Are they considerate? Do they leave a tip? Are they appreciative? Are they humble? Are they trustworthy? For women on the first date, I believe, do they pay for the first date?
Yeah.
Wow.
Do they open the door? Do they pull out the chair?
Yeah, the little things.
The little things, that make a huge difference.
Chivalry's not dead.
It's not dead. And I think, we may have lost our manners. We may have forgot about our manners, but
it says a lot about a person, I think.
Says a lot about a person.
Well, talking about manners, I mean, question number 5 is, do you fight well?
Do you fight well? Yes, this is a very interesting situation because, number one, when you deal with conflict, I believe you should have a strategy. Conflict resolution strategy. A lot of people just argue, but don't have a strategy on how they're going to argue in a relationship.
Right.
And number 2, when we get in a heated battle, we just start just blaming people, pointing the finger. Some people just hang up the phone. Some people will curse you out. Now,
you have to be able to communicate.
You have to be able to communicate.
Yeah.
And what's so
Priya's an expert, that's one.
What's so intriguing about this is there's a guy by the name of Dr. John Gottman. He is one of the leading marriage therapists in the nation, and he says that he has an 85% accuracy whether or not newlyweds will get divorced in 3 to 4 minutes of conversation in a hostile environment.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the reason he's able to do that is because he looks at your communication.
Yeah.
What do you say? Do you try to put the other person down? Are you trying to win the battle, or are you trying to actually do what's best for the relationship?
Yeah, have constructive conversations. Well, I think we learned so much from you.
Yes.
We're going to go back and take some notes.
There's hope for us, Priya. There's hope.
I'm ready to get out there, Shahan. And to find out the other 45 questions to ask before you say I do, go to 50questions.org. And for more about Joshua, go to visionxy.com.